Everyone knows of the source itself, the ultimate being from which all things came, but who are his enforcers across the greater omniverse and the overvoid? Today, we find out. What's up guys, it's me Lumos Theromax, and today we discover who and how powerful the judges of the source are. And big shoutouts to some of my YouTube chat homies who've been requesting this super hard. Before we continue, make sure to click that link and subscribe button, as well as turn on notifications to always get my content. Memberships on YouTube are now open and available, so definitely join and become a Theromax Corps member today. But enough with the introduction, let's get straight into the video. So who are the judges of the source? Well, it appears that in the cosmic hierarchy of DC, everything leads to the source. But does he directly govern over every aspect of creation? Not quite. The source created the hands of the greater omniverse who wander the overvoid and create multiverses in it. So hands scale to entire multiverses pretty safely, and a good example of this would be Perpetua, the mother of the main DC multiverse. The Monitor questions Perpetua's function and claims that hands are meant to die when they give birth to multiverses and give themselves back into the source, or they possibly simply move on somewhere else after creating their multiverse. Why is this important? Because when hands sacrifice themselves, they actually become judges of the source. In fact, at the end of Death Metal, we actually find out it's a judge of the source that arrives to deal with the DC multiverse in its current state. And I know what you were thinking, wait a minute, but Lumos, the bat who laughs thought they were hands. How could you be so biased and stupid? Okay, versus BattleWiki fan 69, you don't have to believe me, so here I'll actually redirect you to the author of this story, that of course being Scott Snyder, confirming this very idea in an interview with Imaginary Axis.
Wonder Woman meets one of the beings that sort of governs beings like Perpetua thing, and if she did what she was supposed to ascend. She dies with the death of the multiverse itself. Her body and her essence goes into it, like a parent to a child, you know, giving your life to the thing after you and letting it live on. And then her soul or her essence or whatever it is at that level was supposed to kind of then ascend to be these other beings, you know?
Yeah, so the idea is like there's some sort of an unseen council of things going further and further up until you reach the presence or the source, right?
Yeah, and
To recap, he says here that the being that arrives is one of those who govern over the hands of the presence, and all Perpetua does is say she's prepping to deal with the judges of the source too, which gives even more credibility here. Plus, it would make sense if the bat who laughs thought he could kill all of the hands, and they would recognize that, the hands would, and they would contact someone far more powerful than themselves to deal with the Darkest Night. This would also explain how Golden Wonder Woman and Bat-Manhattan could perceive the hands at the edge of creation, but then later on could not perceive the judges of the source whenever they showed up. And I want you to think about that last statement for a second, and this is something that Snyder even goes out of his way to specify as well. Golden Wonder Woman is stated as being the strongest from our multiverse alongside Bat-Manhattan, who killed off Perpetua at her strongest. Perpetua was considered the most fearsome of the hands, so she's clearly at least a top tier within the entire hand pantheon out of all the hands of the presence, and all 5 hands who showed up to the multiverse did not want to tango with Bat-Manhattan, or they would have. One judge is inconceivably beyond any hands, including people who they think are superior to all of the hands, such as Bat-Manhattan. We also have the Cosmic Raptor, a being who not only one-shot Perpetua at the height of her power, nuked her crisis-infused children, the Apex Predators, created the Source Wall, and chilled for 20 billion years to maintain Perpetua's prison. The Cosmic Raptor is considered an agent of the judges of the Source, or in other words, the Cosmic Raptor is basically their minion. It's unclear whether they created the Cosmic Raptor itself, but the fact that they sent it with Perpetua rather than deal with it themselves also indicates they should be vastly above both it and Perpetua as well. After Death Metal, they revert the multiverse to where it was before the latest crisis, demonstrating they easily have the ability to remake structures the size of the entire DC multiverse. One of them even takes Wonder Woman and ascends her to the pinnacle of what is expected out of the creations from the source. But what does being ascended scale you to? Well, we have a great example of that with Godstorm John Stewart, a being the Source itself is ascended in the Green Lantern 2021 run. This man has creation level feats with the Godstorm and casually tampers with hyper time, and was seen as a heavy hitter during the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, not to mention he caused an emanation of the Source to show up and check him. If you want to see more on that, read the Green Lantern 2021 run. When it comes to judges of the Source, the messed up part is, this is essentially all we have to visualize them. And this is a form that they made so Wonder Woman could comprehend them, and it's just another version of Wonder Woman. We've never actually seen a judge in the natural state, as no character who has ever been has demonstrated the ability to even comprehend them if they don't want them to.
But Lumos, what about Cosmic Armor Superman? He's super duper big brained, has big boy comprehension, he felt the reader on the page.
Okay, chill, I see that you're back, but acknowledging readership is something that Dr. Fate can do, as well as other Godsphere characters, but mainly is something tied to the Overvoid and overcoming the barrier to at least acknowledging that place. Even Cass has never demonstrated comprehending the Overvoid in a massive way that mattered, and Mandrak even lost himself there. Even if this is the case, characters such as the Anti-Monitor and Perpetua, who can comprehend the Overvoid, still can't perceive characters on this level as Wonder Woman could not, and she vastly outscales them. And as I said before, she has statements of being the greatest from our verse. When the judges of the Source were contacted by the Brothers 3, they dispatched the Cosmic Raptor in less than 3 pages or so in a fight in between Perpetua and the Brothers 3, implying they can make very quick decisions and either teleport or have their minions that can traverse Overvoid very quickly, but it's even better when you consider this next context. During the events of the Justice League 2018 run, it's revealed that Perpetua is masking our multiverse from the eyes of those who sent her here. Then, later on in Death Metal, she is defeated by the Bat Who Laughs, so it's logical that the Hands were made aware of her actions and thus arrived at the end of this story. As I said before, they contact a judge who arrives almost immediately whenever they contact him. Why is this important? Because Perpetua claims the Cosmic Raptor's masters, or the judges of the Source, were at the far side of the Void, or the Overvoid. This would logically mean that a judge of the Source can traverse most of the Overvoid by the time the Hands arrive, and this would further reinforce being superior to the Hands, as they showed up throughout several comics of this happening, and it was almost instantaneous for this judge. But how many judges of the Source are there? That's a great question, and it comes from Mr. Angel Edits in my comment section. He's commented it about 1,000 times, so I'm glad I can answer. We never see a large group of them, but if Hands already made it to judges after they sacrificed themselves, this would make things pretty wild to consider. Why? Because we know that there's an infinite amount of multiverses in the greater Omniverse, which clearly would imply an infinite amount of judges of the Source. However, the Codex Omniversa, something that the Chronicler carries, another functionary of the Source, he actually codexes all of the dead multiverses that have ever existed, and he declares that there is at least trillions of dead multiverses that he's cataloged. So at the bare minimum, there should be trillions of these specific judges running around. Although that is something that's not directly stated, but rather inferred based on things we are aware of. The judges of the Source are on a whole different level from anything we have ever seen besides the Source or the Presence itself, as they are one being. Considered the cosmic gods of the greater Omniverse, I could only wonder and even theorize what threats could possibly come along and threaten the judges of the Source and their disturbing power as well as levels of existence. Did you learn something new? Be sure to tell me down low. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content down the way, as videos like this are paid for and developed by fans just like you. Join the Theromax Corps as a member on my channel, and you get exclusive access to my videos ahead of time and help me decide where my content goes in the future, and I look forward to seeing you as a new member of the Corps. Until next time, Lanterns, later.